we are going to attach this plug to the wire for this socket. So you can see here's the socket. Socket's already been put together. We did that in our last video. Very scintillating. So I still have it connected to the lamp cord, so I didn't cut it off earlier. So I'm going to show you how that's done. We're going to measure that out. I'll put this little ruler down here. We're going to measure this out every 12 inches. We're going to do 6 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it. See how I got the one end. I remember where this end is. I pull this, and I go 2 feet. All right. Then I grab this end, and I go 3 feet. And I go 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet. That's pretty close, okay? And then we're going to take the cutters from the last video. These guys right here. I'm just going to do this really quick. Let's do the wire cutters. We'll do it proper with the wire cutters from the last video. Okay, so I just cut it, get that all set. Now I'm going to put this wire off to the side because we're not going to use that yet. We'll be using that in a moment. And then I'm going to bring out this plug and the tools you'll need for that. So for this plug, we'll definitely be needing a screwdriver or two. Now these are called standard screwdrivers or slot screwdrivers. And the reason why is because obviously it would fit in a slot, just one slot, just so you know. So here is the plug. And the way this plug works is it says right here, it says pry open both sides. Now I could use 2 screwdrivers, but that tends to be a little bit clumsy. So I'm going to take one screwdriver and put it off the side. And if you'll notice, there's this little clip here. And you can't see it on this side. That's because they put this sticker on there, so you can't see the little clip. So I'm going to expose the clip, taking off the sticker and depositing into a trash receptacle. Now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start with this slotted area here, and we're going to be able to pry it open. So I'm moving this all the way through. Now I can see the edge of the screwdriver. See that? I can see it. It's right there. And then I kind of push upward because we want to get past that clip. Then we go to the other side. You may have to do this a couple of times because sometimes it gets a little bit difficult. It's not the best design, but we're working with it. Pull it. Oh, there we go. It came right out. Look at that. And look at how familiar that is. Mr. Screws here, right? There they are. And now we're okay. And as you can see, because it's such a tight area, that when we put the wire in, if we put it in correctly, it will not meet, as long as you don't cut them too long. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the end of the wire that I just cut off of the end of the socket. Here's the other end of the socket wire. Drop that off to the side so it doesn't be a problem. And now what we're going to do is, again, what are we going to do? We're going to split the insulation for the wire. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that right there like that. And because I have amazingly strong fingernails, I'm just going to do this. If you don't have amazingly strong fingernails, you may use a razor blade like this and kind of cut it through. Now I don't want to cut it too long because I don't want it to be all exposed on the outside and have this big old wide gap when it pulls out here. So the first things first is, in order for us to do this, we're going to screw it into those few screws. I think you see what's going to be happening. We're going to push it through here, and I'm pulling it out. Now we have to expose what? We have to expose the copper wire by stripping the insulation. And we do that with our handy dandy wire cutters. And we're going to take this guy, and again, remember, it's a 10 gauge wire because of the size. Drop it down about there. I think that's going to be enough wire for us to go with. Not more than it looks like a little less than a ½ inch. So I go ahead and I go like this, and then I spin a little bit, because as I spin, it kind of breaks the seal. And then I pull, and there it is. There's my wire. I take that, and I twist the end, right? It's almost like immediate now. Now I'm going to get rid of this little piece of insulation and deposit that in a trash receptacle as well. There it goes. Here we go. I'm going to get this last one. And I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to start to cut here. Strip around the wire. That sound in the background you hear is one of the 3D printers going off. And I pull. It takes a little practice. I've been doing this for a while. So There we go. Now, simply put, we are going to wrap the wires around. And if you remember from the last lesson, when we want to open something up, we can do righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So since we're going lefty, and I can use the slot screwdriver, or with this one, I can even use the Phillips screwdriver. It's one of those kind of screws. But I think it likes the slot screwdriver better. So I'm going to go ahead and use the slot screwdriver. I'm going to start turning it. Now with this one, you're going to really have to give yourself some room in there because you're going to be pushing it in. There we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead, and remember what I said, we're tightening it. And if we tighten it to the left or clockwise, okay, the right or clockwise, then we wrap the wire around it to the right or clockwise. Takes a little bit of finagling on it. You'll get it in. Push that in like that. I'm going to get all these little strands in there. Now again, if you want to solder the end, you can solder the end, but you know, not really necessary. Okay, so that's that. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to start tightening down on it. And as I start tightening down, it's going to want to try to push this stuff out. I'll just try to push it back in again. Okay. Yeah, there you go. This is a little bit more difficult than the other other part. I don't know why. Let me get this larger screwdriver and get that in there. There we go. Push it in. It's got a lot of there. Make it nice and tight so you don't lose it. There you go. Right like that. It's pretty much it. Okay. And again, they're not going to touch each other, so you're okay with these, and it's all in there. Okay. Now we're going to open this one up over here. And again, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so I'm going lefty. Now this one's actually going to, I think, work a little bit better. You know what? I think I got an idea here. So I'm going to pop that in. I'm going to make a little hook. All right, we're going to make a little hook and go around the screw. Oh, being a little difficult on me, aren't you? Going to be a little hook around the screw. Right like that. Now we're going to turn it tight. Tighten that sucker up. Nice and tight now. We got both wires in there. Now we pull this around. You know, I'm going to do this real quick. We're going to take this off. Fix that because I don't like the way that looks. It's okay to make adjustments, you know. If you don't like how something looks, go ahead and make an adjustment. Now I still want to go around it. I want to wrap it around like a hook, bring it in. But what I want to do is, as opposed to it not going the way it's supposed to, I like to get that in there. There we go. I'm going to push that down real tight. Real tight. There we go. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and tighten this down. Okay, now I'm a little bit more pleased with that. And again, these will not touch because they're going to be inside this little casing here. So we're going to pull the casing toward the plug, and we're going to push it. Probably going to we might have to pry. Now I got a little bit of I'm muscling it, so you don't have to muscle it. You can actually use the screwdriver to get it in there. But if you, be careful of your hand. You don't want to hurt your hand with the screwdriver. And there we go. Now I'm going to come in here, come from underneath, and I'm going to come in and I'm pull that. There you go. Now it's on. Okay. That's on. Get the other side, same thing. And pull from underneath. Again, you got to be really careful that you don't stab your hand with the screwdriver. That hurts. So we kind of always keep our hand behind the blade. And now we're good. So that gets the plug all back in place. It's installed and it should stay in place. We're going to push it down, make sure. I'll be pushing with this thing. It's really not as, it's so tight. It's really tight. You can push it down with the end of a table, and maybe a pair of pliers will pull it together. I'm gonna get a pair of pliers and try that out. It has a little pair of pliers on the end. Pushing it in. There we go.
Hey, the bell rings.
Push that in. Hey, push that in, and then that's it. Okay. There we go. There we go. All right. So that's how it's done. All right. So that's the plug. Plugs in. Again, I'm going to be working with this for a little bit, really trying to get these guys in 100%. There it is. Okay. So that's how the plug gets put together.